Welcome back, Pirate Crew. It's your captain, Yeehaw Yadam, and we're back with another episode of 10-minute testing for the One Piece trading card game. In this series, we'll be showcasing a deck through competitive gameplay and analyzing its position in the upcoming meta. So get yourselves a drink, and we'll get straight into the card by card. So for today's episode of 10-minute testing, or 20-minute testing at this point, we've got Captain Smoker, everyone's favorite smoke-related captain from the Navy. In set OPO2, the Navy was introduced, and he is the OPO2 black leader that comes from the set, not from the structure deck. If you guys don't know what he does, he says Dawn ×1, active main, once per turn. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 to their cost during this turn. Then, if there is a character on the board with a cost of 0 in play, this leader will gain 1000 power during this turn. Basically, if he has a Dawn under him, that makes him a 6k. If there is a character with 0 cost on the board, he is now a 7k for free for 1 Dawn, right? You're kind of like ramping a Dawn with 1 Dawn placement. He also minuses a character by 1, which interacts really, really well with your deck. If you guys aren't necessarily familiar with what the Navy archetype kind of wants to do, they revolve around destroying cards from the board by giving up hand advantage or by minusing characters' cost. That's the way that destruction from the Navy happens. So we have cards like Kuzan, super duper powerful card, no counter, because if he had a counter, my god. But it states when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4. So the lower the cost, the easier to KO a character, make it easier to get your effects from Smoker and whatnot. So let's get right to the card by card. We're going to have to be playing 4 Kuzan. Now this is one of the best Navy staples that exist in the foreseeable future. He's run at 4 in the current set and 4 in the upcoming set. If you look at all the Eastern decks that topped with Smoker, they're just all playing 4 Kuzan. This card is absolutely crazy. On play, draw a card, so he replaces himself, and then he has a fantastic effect of when attacking -4 a character, right? When you -4 a character, that puts it in range to be KO'd by almost every other KO effect we have in our deck. Basically, those being Big Kuzan, being Kobe, and being Sakazuki. This card really is the setup to your finishers. He is the one that lays it up, and then we have these guys that dunk it down. So really, really strong card. -4 is a lot. If you combo it off with your leader, that is a -5. So just for example, let's say there's a Eustace Captain Kid, who's a very pesky card in the previous format. He's an 8 cost. If a Kuzan's on the board, that'll reduce it by 4. So now he's a 4 cost. You reduce it once more with your leader. Now he is a 3 cost. And Kobe's effect, on play, you may trash a card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a 3 cost or less. So with an investment of literally nothing, he was on the board. An investment of 1 Dawn and 4, you have now deleted Eustace Captain Kid. That's pretty darn good. And that's what makes Kobe so great. He's a fantastic tempo option versus these very strong aggressive decks, Whitebeard, Luffy, Zoro. This card allows you to fight for board, Law, I guess, if you want to consider him as well. This card keeps up the tempo by trashing a card from hand. Now, trashing a card from hand is a hefty cost. By no means is it an easy cost. But when you think about what trashing a card from your hand gains you in the long run, it's pretty darn worth it. Even Sakazuki, you've not only gained a body, you removed a card from your hand that would eventually get used to counter something, to block something. It really just pays for itself. And then not only that, he has the body attached with him. He's also a 1k counter. Super duper cool dude. Kobe, we want to see what you do in the future of One Piece. Then we have Sakazuki, one of the most hated, respected, I don't know, it depends how you see the coin, but fantastic card. He is on play. You may trash one card from your hand, KO one up to your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Now, many decks that topped in the Eastern meta ran 4 of this card for a good reason. He has a 7k body on a 6 cost, and he basically KOs anything in the entire game if there is a Kuzan on the board. So he has a really good combo, right? And that's the thing. The best cards in this deck come down on the even. So if you notice in the following games, I'm gonna be playing, or if I get the choice, to go second as much as possible, because you have a strong 4 into a very strong 6. You have blockers on 2. And so on and so forth. So you playing this and then comboing into this on the following turn is an extreme amount of tempo that it's going to be very difficult for your opponent to deal with. Continuing that, we have Granny here. She's just a disposable 2k who has a pretty solid effect. On play, give up to your opponent's characters -1 cost. So if you don't have the Kuzan, you really need to KO something desperately, she can come down, but most of the time she's just a 2k. We have Don Quixote Rocinante, a box topper blocker. He's just a 2 cost blocker. I want to play as much blocking as possible, and I'm choosing to play 4 Hina. Now, many decks in the Eastern meta didn't play this card, but I read this card and I was stunned by how good it is. It is a 6k blocker, so it has queen-related stats with a 1k counter, and it says, on block, choose one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, and the chosen character cannot attack during this turn. Basically stops 2 attacks. It's very similar to an Uda in terms of effects, but it has a queen stat stick attached to it. Really, really solid. It's also that 1k counter. It can become an attacker because at 6k, you put 1 Dawn, and that's a 7k magic number. Really, really solid card. Enjoyed it. Then we have Helmeppo. Helmeppo is a trigger from life. He is a 3k, but he has a really solid effect that when attacking, he can minus something by 2 to their cost, and if there is a 0 cost on the board, he gains 2k. So without any Dawn investment, he becomes a 5k. Very aggressive card. Comes out of life, and at the end of the day, I just needed 1k counters to kind of round out the deck. But this card is very flexible. You can play Sengoku or any amount of 2ks if you want to choose to go into this spot. For Borzolino, holy moly, this card is overstated, my guys. This guy's super cool. The Light Admiral coming in with a 1 counter, which I'm not sure that he needed that. 4 cost for a 5k, so he has solid stats. But what makes him really crazy is that on opponent's turn, not only does he gain 1k power, making him a 6k blocker for the cost of 4, he cannot be KO'd by effects. Therefore, Jet Pistols, if they want to Nico Robin your card, playing into the mirror, this card cannot be knocked out by effects. So therefore, he is very, very sticky. And the fact that he is a 6k means you're always taxing your opponent. He has the stats of a law blocker on the body of a 4 with a crazy continuous effect. The only thing you have to worry about is that he's not protected from being KO'd during your turn. So if you're going aggressive and you're going into matchups that can knock out your characters, aka Impact Wave or a Jet Pistol on life, make sure to increase this guy's DP accordingly or prepare for the possible Impact Wave accordingly, because he will be knocked out. Impact Wave can only knock out, I believe, active characters when it is being played, and then but when it comes out of life, it knocks out a 4 cost or less. So maybe you want to attack with him first if you really want to be aggressive. Then we have Monkey D. Garp, just a really solid 2k. Kuzan, we're not maxing out on it because 10 cost is hefty and a couple of it clunk in your hand. But honestly, with the plethora of discard options that we have, he also could go up to 4. I just wanted to make my deck as counter heavy as possible, which is why we have Tashigi, just a designated 2k counter with a solid effect, more reduction on my turn if I need it. And then we have 2 more 2-drop blockers, followed up with Meteor Volcano, and for the Impact Wave. Meteor Volcano states knock out a character with a cost of 1 or less, and this card comes really good into the late game once you have this on the board or this on the board. Makes this basically knock out a 5-drop or higher for the cost of 2. Very, very free, and its trigger effect in life isn't nothing to be scoffed at. Lastly, we have Impact Wave. If you guys don't know what this does, basically it knocks out a active character with a cost of 3 or less. Very easy to play around. You'll see that the Luffy player that I played against in one of the future games played really well against this card, but at the same time, it's just too powerful to dodge it consistently. So with that, let's get right to the games. So for our first game today, we're versus the Ivankov leader, one of the most interesting blue decks to arise from the next meta. He starts with the Impel down All-Stars. Getting the stage down early is really important for them. I could have decided to play a blocker here, chose not to, just to keep up some Dawn, see what he wants to do with that information. He goes and attaches all the Dawn just to make sure that I take the hit. I'm just going to take the hit no matter what, so I'll go check him for 5. He's going to be discarding cards. That's like one of the things that Ivankov wants to do, remove as many cards from hand as possible to get to his 0 cost condition. So I gave him that 5, he gave me a 2k, and I went ahead and played a Kuzan. He goes ahead and finds the Buggy, and then goes ahead and plays a very strong Inazuma. So now it goes back to my turn. I'm at 6 total Dawn, and yes, I want to play a 4 and a 2 and all this good stuff, but there's better ways to go about my turn. So I go ahead and attack, use the effect to reduce the Buggy, go for 7k, swing with Kuzan for 5, reduce the Inazuma, then I play Kobe, pitch a card from hand. I'm having a tough time deciding what I want to pitch here, and then I will go ahead and play a blocker to round off my turn. I'm going to defend this Kuzan as much as I can because it is a very, very powerful card. He goes ahead and plays the Ivankov Luffy combo, which is going to go ahead and bounce my Kuzan and then draw 2 off the leader ability. Really strong turn for him. Big tempo turn. Actually really, really terrifying. Losing my Kuzan there doesn't feel great. So let's see what I go ahead and do. I'll go attack 5 at lead first. I'll play the double Kuzan and pass, right? Because I do need to set up, the dunk. I need the guy who's going to lay it up for my Sakazuki. Okay, and then he goes Ivankov once again. Yeah. Really nasty draw from him. And he just top decks the Luffy, so it's going to go ahead and bounce my Kuzan one more time. And he Ivankov Luffy me twice this game, which is basically where you want to be if you're the Ivankov player. So he's going to go ahead and attack me here for 7. I'm going to block this one. Yeah, okay, he tags me for 7 here. I'm going to go ahead and defend this. I can't really get too low, especially with 2 double attackers on the board. But hopefully I can start doing a little bit of cleanup this turn, depending on how many cards are in his hand. The fact that he has Buggy on board is going to make it a little bit easier to get to the 7k threshold using my leader's ability, which is kind of nice. So I'm deciding how I want to go ahead and do this. It took me a little bit, so I'm going to go and attach a Dawn, reduce the cost of Buggy, and I'm going to go 7 at Luffy. Okay, not great, but we do what we can. I'm gonna go and attach 3, make it an 8 into a 7, then reduce the other Luffy, which will allow my Sakazuki to come in and destroy the other Luffy. So honestly, those are the more terrifying cards. Those are the cards that are really going to be dealing the damage to me, and the fact that I was able to remove them puts us in a really solid spot. Unfortunately, this makes it so that our Kuzan is an easy target. I choose not to block here, but I'm definitely going to defend this so that he has to commit more cards into it. More attacks, certainly. So he goes 7. I'm not going to defend the 7. Going to take this hit. Helmeppo is going to trigger here. I think it's a really solid card, especially with the buggy on the board. It's going to let me have that Helmeppo as another attack target. Rather have that than the 1k, and then I'm going to go and take another life, and he goes Crocodile, right? So he's almost out of resources. If we can just out-resource him just a little bit longer, I think we'll be truly back in this game. So I'm, again, trying to decide how I want to do these attacks. There's a lot of different things. Obviously, I'm not swinging at the leader because I need to make sure that I just don't lose automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and go here with the Smoker, use Smoker's effect, reduce, and go 7 at 7, 7 at 7. And then Helmeppo is going to go ahead and swing. I mess up because I didn't click the action, but he should have triggered a card in life there. And then I'll have Kobe go ahead and deal with this this pesky little buggy, and I'm going to go ahead and deploy 2 blockers. Putting the Hina out makes it so that he can't play an attacker before he attacks, which I'm pretty okay with, and it makes it so that he has to attack with the Crocodile first if he wants to go ahead and deal damage. So he's going to go use Impel down All-Stars. He's going to go ahead and swing at me, I believe, for 10. I'm not going to be blocking the 10, especially with these cards in my hand. And then if he wants to go for lethal here, he's going to have to attach a lot of Dawn. That is not enough Dawn, so I'm just going to go ahead and combo out of this block, and then I'm going to go ahead and counter out of that. He's going to go play an Inozuma. Sakazuki is going to be a really solid option for me here, but again, I have to make sure that I deal with this board. I kind of want to stick a Kuzan here, but I'm not sure if I have the ability to do so. So first thing I got to do is check for a counter. So the fact that he has a counter makes it so now I have to deal with this a little bit more. I can't just summon the Kuzan this turn. I'll go 5 at life, or he goes and blocks, and that just makes my whole turn super duper easy, right? So now I can just go ahead and attach Dawn correctly, and then I should be in a good spot to go ahead and take over. I'm going to attach, I believe, 3 Dawn here to Kobe. Kobe's going to go ahead and deal with his Inazuma, who's now a 7k. Going to go ahead and attach 1 Dawn here, deal with this. And then I'm going to go ahead and deploy another Borzolino, so now I have blockers enough. There's no way, there's no rushers in blue yet. So I feel really, really comfortable in this specific spot. I'm going to go ahead and play that. Doesn't really do much. I'm going to go ahead and Sakazuki this away. Sakazuki's going to go pitch this Kuzan, and then from here we should be in a really commanding position. We're just going to 5 him. Then 5 him again. 7. And then 1 more 7 possibly. Again, without rushers, there's just no way that he can really do much. I think I go ahead and put it on the Hina here. And then, yep, that's what makes Hina an attacker, very much like Queen. And then putting my opponent down to 0 life, we have a blocker and we have a Shockwave still available. He goes ahead and uses the Impel down All-Stars to remove the Mihawk. And yeah, I don't think he's going to have a good time next turn. Shout out to the Instagram in the description below. If you guys want to message me, talk to me on any form or social media, that's the platform of choice. Check me out on the Instagrams in the description below. Later, gamers. Alrighty, so now we're going for our aggressive matchup of the day. We're going against Luffy. Now, Luffy loses a lot of popularity coming into the next set, but I do think he's still a very viable leader, just not as consistent as what Zoro wants to do. So my opponent goes first. Again, I'm going second, trying to go second as much as I can. And let's see what I go ahead and opt to do. I think I just go for the nice classic pass, right? He'll go ahead and give me the 2-drop, and I'll go back to my turn. He plays the Nico Robin. Now, Nico Robin isn't necessarily crazy strong versus my deck. I could just summon a 4-drop here, but I decided to go for the tempo and use the Kobe to go ahead and remove the Nico Robin. I don't want to just go ahead and keep floating attackers and things like that. Now, I could have gone ahead and chosen to put 1 Dawn under my leader, use his effect, and swung for 7, but I'm very afraid of giving him a little bit of excess cards at this point. I kind of want to starve the red player for a little bit before I go ahead and commit to dealing with the board. So he's going to go ahead and 6 me with the Zoro. I go ahead and use a 2k, then he's going to go 7. 7 definitely connects. Can't stop that one. And then now is where I use the leader ability. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce the chopper, swing for 7 at 5. Perfect. He's going to go ahead and block here. I think I'm just going to commit 1 to the Kobe. I just want to get a card from him. He's going to go ahead and defend this for sure. And then I'm going to go ahead and commit to going to play a Rosinante, and I'll keep 2 Dawn up for the impact wave. So it doesn't look too bad at this point, but I don't really have a lot of tempo. My big attacker is a Kobe, which isn't really great for him. He goes 7 at 4, which I'm not sure I like that number. I do have the impact wave that would have just immediately dealt with it. Then he goes 6 at my leader, and I choose to take this one. I trigger a Meteor Volcano, thinking if I want to go ahead and activate. I don't believe I'm going to have time to play any Meteor Volcanoes because I don't have Kuzan stuck on the board. It's going to take me a long time, so I'm going to Meteor Volcano, pitch the Meteor Volcano, and then basically just refresh my hands with counter power. Really okay with that, and I'll go ahead and use my impact wave here. He's played around it perfectly by swinging with his characters, not keeping anything active, so that my impact wave doesn't get the double bonus. It's going to go back to my turn. I finally draw a pretty solid card in terms of Borsalino, but I don't think I have time to play it this turn. He goes and blocks out of this. I'm going to go ahead and play a Hina and a Kobe to go ahead and deal with the other one. Now, honestly, I didn't really have to play this Kobe here. I could have played another blocker or maybe a Helmeppo just to have like a reducer on the board. But Hina would have definitely dealt with both. He's going to go 5. That's going to be a quick block from me. I still have the Rosinante to defend the Hina if he wants to go and swing with it. He's going to go 8 at that, and that's going to go ahead and trigger that. But the Whitebeard is definitely a very scary card. I do have my Kuzan here, which is going to allow me to sort of kind of like out it through the course of a couple turns. So I'm forced to play a Kuzan because I need someone to contest the Whitebeard. I'm definitely very happy about blocking with the Rosinante because had I not done it, it would have just immediately just been KO'd by Whitebeard. He goes and plays the Jet Pistol into my Hina. Really, really solid. Really solid. Kind of wish I had a Borsalino on board so that it wouldn't have been able to trigger into it. And then he takes a little bit of time to think here and he goes 12 with the Whitebeard. Now I can't really defend a 12. So I do have to just take this. But Whitebeard doesn't get any bonus effect, so I'm really happy about that one. He takes a little bit of time to decide. I don't know what. I think he just forgot to click cancel on the Whitebeard ability. So we're waiting on that. He's going to go 12 in my face. I have to take it. Get another 2k, which is really solid to have in life. And then he goes ahead and tens me. I don't think I have like a way to truly defend this in a safe manner. So I'm going to have to like bulk up for the next turn. So I go and take that as well. Go 12 at the Whitebeard. He has 1 card in hand, so that's for sure going to go ahead and be removed. And then with the rest of my turn, go 5 at lead. I'm just going to give him 1 card. He opts to combo out of it, which I'm okay with. Then here's the 1 damage. And then I'm going to go and set up by playing a Borsalino and another blocker. So I go double blocker. And I think he passes the turn here by mistake. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much that he could have done. Even had he like gone with like a big Luffy here, I would have just defended it off of hand. And then if he swings with leader, I'd block with that. And then it gives me another turn. I then would have cleared his Luffy with my Kuzan and then just played more blockers, which would put him in a very terrible position. So it goes back to his turn. He goes Nami. Nami's a good start to the turn. And honestly, Nami's basically looking for structure deck Luffy at this point in time, and he concedes. So going on to another aggro matchup, as that one wasn't like, it didn't finish the way I wanted it because I think he made a quick little mistake. We'll go and showcase the Whitebeard matchup. Now, Whitebeard is really scary because of the fact that he is just 6k, and be able to contest him is not easy. So he opts to go first, which I think is a mistake. Then allows me to go second. I go a 2-drop. He goes Vista. So maybe he just has like a really good 1-3-5 in his deck because I don't really see Vista too much. Maybe it's like the Moby Dick version. So he goes ahead and puts a bunch of Dawn on his Vista. He goes 6 and 6. So that's going to go ahead and fetch a 2k. I can't really keep taking that much damage from the Beard this early. He's going to go ahead and keep up 1 Dawn, maybe for like a Radical Beam. I'll go 5 into the Vista. He lets it go. And I think here I just have to set up for a Kuzan, and I'll keep the Shockwave open just to deal with this Chopper. So my turn isn't looking too bad. We have a Kuzan stuck on the board and a Borsalino. Borsalino can be KO'd even if he like reduces it and Vistas it, which is really, really cool. Borsalino, Baroccarino. Takes a little bit of time here to think what he wants to do. This is 4 times speed, my guys. Opts to go Otama and Vista on the Kuzan. Pretty solid. Can't really complain about that one. This is going to go ahead and fetch the wave. I'm going to go ahead and take out the Chopper. I want him to have the Vista on board because the Vista is going to go ahead and bait him into putting Dawn under it like he did last time. 33% of your turn, 50% of your turn on a Vista. Sure, man. I'll take it any day of the week. So I'll leave the Vista there as I don't think it really is going to provide much into this game, and the Chopper is going to be allow me to do more damage. The fact that he has an Otama on the board is also really dangerous for him because that card is not going to be removed by myself. He's going to have to remove it, and if not, he's going to make my leader a 7k every single turn. So I'll put 2 Dawn, reduce the Otama to make it a 0, and I'm going to go 8 at 6, give it that good number, but he does have 1 up, so he goes and plays the guard point. So I'm going to go play the Sakazuki, and then I'm thinking if I want to go ahead and remove this Vista, and then based off what I had said earlier, that assessment of keeping the Vista up to bait him to use Dawn on it, I'm just not going to use the Sakazuki's effect. I'm literally just playing a 6-drop 7k vanilla, which doesn't seem great, but I need someone to really start contesting his board states, right? So he goes a 6 at my leader here. I'm thinking if I want to take it or not. I do want to kind of keep up my hand. I'm going to go ahead and block with his Borzolino to kind of bait him into swinging into the Borzolino. And then he goes a 7 at my lead. I will take this one, though. I'm not going to double block. And then he goes Chopper, right? So pretty solid start. But it's really solid that I have this 7 drop. I'm going to go ahead and use the effect to reduce the Chopper. I'm going to go 8 at 6. And let's see how he responds to this one. Goes ahead and Radical Beams it. Yep, can't beat the Radical Beam. I'm going to go 8 at 6 one more time. He choppers this away, and then I will go Hina and pass. I'll keep 2 up again for another Impact Wave. So pretty solid. He goes and puts a lot of down on the Luffy. Makes it so he's unblockable. Now I could go ahead and Impact Wave plus a card, but I don't really want to do that. I drew an Impact Wave in which I could use, but actually I'm just going to keep it in hand because I just want the defense value of the Impact Waves. He's going to go ahead and swing at me with this Vista. Not really sure. I'm going to go ahead and block with this Hina. Make sure that the Otama can't attack me. Keep it on the board, right? And he's going to go AK at my leader. I'm going to go ahead and Impact Wave, and I'm not going to use its ability. He's going to keep up 2 Dawn. And then now he is in a kind of spooky position. I'm going to go 8k, reducing the Otama, going 8k at lead. I'm going to go ahead and just remove as many cards, because if I swing at the Luffy, it's almost as the same as swinging as the leader. He's going to defend it as much as he possibly can. He's going to go ahead and Radical Beam this. Gonna go 6 at lead. He gives me a 1k. I'm gonna go 8 at lead one more time. Give me another Radical Beam. Yep. And then I'm kind of deciding what I want to do here now. I could play defensively and just play like a couple cards down, or I can just say you better have it, right? And with 5 cards in hand, no Dawn available, I'm thinking to myself, what does he have to have in hand to possibly have it? 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 on 6 is literally 3 2ks. So I'm hoping that he has some sort of events in hand that are, you know, bricks. And I say, well, you better show them to me. And he has 4 2ks in hand. Sure, man. And I'm thinking here that I'm probably dead, but he has to connect to 2 attacks. Now, I can't really block this Luffy, but it doesn't really matter if I can or if I cannot. And then my hand is just full of 2ks. I've just been stockpiling them, and that will be enough to win me the game, because I'm now on the correct way. He has 2 Dawn. I have 4 attackers. He's just going to be cleaned out, and that's the game. And off to our last game of the day, we're going to be playing against Kinemon. Kinemon is an absolute champion of a leader, so we'll see if we can handle him as well. We go ahead and play the Rosinante, so going second is just OP. Making Kinemon go first is really, really good because their 1-3-5 isn't as strong as their 2-4-6. So he goes Bonnie, which is an interesting choice. And he plays a killer. He attacks me. I'm going to go ahead and let that go through. I'm going to go 5 at the Bonnie. I believe he blocks this. Yep. I'm just going to swing with Rosinante. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Make my Rosinante's attack. Really okay with that one. I'll play a Borzolino down. Kind of set up for a really strong card. He's going to go ahead and X-Drake me, which was the card that he grabbed from the Bonnie. I'm just really okay with that one. So I'm going to go 5 at lead here. He didn't attack with the leader because there was just no point. I'm going to go ahead and freely play a Kuzan. And I'll just go ahead and deploy another Rosinante. You got to play the box topper if you can. If you have like any options between the box topper and the old lady, I'd go with the box topper. So he swings at me again, deciding if I want to go ahead and trigger this. I don't, because I have Kuzan on the board. Since I have Kuzan, I think this meteor volcano is going to go a long way. It's going to go 6. I'm just going to block out of that one. He passes turn, keeping up 4 Dawn. So he's kind of threatening 2 Punk Gibsons, which is a little wet and wild if you ask me. So let's see what he does here. I go 6 at 6. He Punk Gibsons it. I go ahead and reduce the Okiku. I'm going to go ahead and I'm deciding how much Dawn I want to place. I'll trigger this on him because there's a 0 cost on board. I'm now a 7, so I'll put 1 more, go 8 at 6. He does another Punk Gibson. Now my entire board is rested. Sure. I'm going to go ahead and Meteor Volcano, and then I'm deciding if I want to play a blocker or if I want to keep up some Dawn for the Impact Waves. I decide the Impact Wave is just a little bit more valuable at this point in time. So he's going to go ahead and attach a ton of Dawn. Surely this is not the play. He's going to go ahead and swing at my Borzolino. I'm going to go ahead and defend it. And then I believe he just attaches the rest of the Dawn and makes it so that my Kuzan is off the board. Which is smart. Kuzan is a little bit more threatening than Borzolino. Borzolino is not really an aggressive card. It is a defensive card. So good assessment on their part. I'm going to go ahead and attach a bunch of Dawn, and I'm just going to swing 8 at 6. If he lets this go, I'm cool with it. If not, again, I'm cool with it. I'm just going to play the long game versus him. I'm going to go ahead and deploy. He lets it go. I deploy a Hina, and now he's in a really bad spot. Even though he has a couple cards in hand, I have full board control. Okay, he's going to attach a lot of Dawn to the Kinemon, and he's going to swing at my life. I let it go through, and he hits into a Helmeppo, and now I have another reducer on the board, which now allows me to facilitate my game plan. He goes ahead and plays the Veggie. I have Kuzan in my hand. I'm going to go Helmeppo, swing, trigger effect. He takes it. I go 5 again. He blocks it, and then I'm just going to slam down the Kuzan for 0 value, but now you have to deal with it. And I don't think he's going to be able to come back from this board state. So I think he plays a Yamato. Yamato's going to head and rest the Hina. Gonna go play an Izo. Okay. Gonna play a Straw Sword. Okay, my whole board is rested. You've got it. But with 2 Dawn, you can't really swing over anything. It goes 7 at 6. I combo out of it, and that should be the end of the game. So we're back with the deck, and Captain Smoker is looking smoking hot to take over the OPO2 meta. But on the real, Smoker felt really, really good. I played a lot of games with a variety of different matchups. I think the only matchup I was missing was a purple matchup, but the deck still felt really, really good nonetheless. We have a variety of very overstated cards in forms of the Admirals, 4-drop Kuzan, 4-drop Borzolino, 6-drop Sakazuki, and 10-drop Kuzan all feel absolutely amazing. We have great tempo options in terms of Kobe and Hina, Impact Wave and Meteor Volcano that really help you, as well as Helmeppo, keep up with aggressive decks. We have a variety of 2K blockers as well as 2-drop blockers as well as 2K counters. So a deck doesn't feel like it's really missing anything, even though it's missing a card pool from OPO1. The cons from the deck are the cons that Black has always had. If you have the reducers, but you don't have the poppers, you're going to be in for a bad time. If you have the poppers without the reducers, you're going to be in for a bad time. So, and that's the real struggle that Black has always had. It's a 1-2 deck, and if you're missing the 1, you can't really do the 2, and if you're missing the 2, the 1 is meaningless. So that is going to be the main struggle. I tried to mitigate that as much as possible by giving myself as much time, allowing myself to go second, which allows me a second card draw, letting them take life aggressively, and that'll eventually, give me more cards in hand. That's really how I try to mitigate and play the deck, and I feel like these matchups really showcase how you should try and play Black. I don't think I played too awfully, maybe 1 or 2 misplays at best, but definitely seems like a very, very powerful deck and in a really good position to handle the meta. It can handle aggro, it can handle control, and it's pretty mid-range at the end of the day. You have really big bodies that lets you go for game. You have unbelievable defense, and at the end of the day, you're playing Smoker. If you guys like the Admirals, you like the Navy, this is going to be a very, very fun and strong deck for you. So without that, what more do you need? So if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like down below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or ways that we can make this deck better, please leave a comment down below so we can talk about it. I think this is a pretty solid starting point for the Navy or the Smoker deck in general. Navy in general seems like this is a very solid list. You can just swap out the leaders. Definitely if you're going to play Garp or Zephyr, you have options to a bigger card pool. So definitely consider that. But if a mono black leader exists, this deck seems pretty solid. And if you guys are liking the content that I'm bringing out and want to join the pirate crew, then maybe consider subscribing. It would mean the world to me. And as always, guys, I will see you on the next one. Peace.